Now, if there is one medium that didn't just survive but actually thrived in 2020, it's the streamers or OTT services. The main reason for this has to be the vast array of diverse content with some dazzling original local stuff that all of them, Netflix, Disney Plus Hotstar, Amazon Prime and the others, are competing to put out. The only damper going forward may be the government guidelines released in February that will regulate this content. But before we discuss that particular challenge, let's talk about the commercial opportunities, audience expectations, and exhilarating creative freedom that the streamers seem to offer. So, please welcome actor, producer, director Pooja Bhatt. She's just made a splashy comeback to acting thanks to that storytelling freedom that OTTs offer. Nandini Reddy, the only woman to direct one of the short films in the recent Telugu anthology Pitta Kadalu. And Ashvini Yardi, a producer who, after creating massive TV hits, has discovered the joys of streaming, creating some unusual shows like Masaba Masaba. It's good to see you, ladies. Thank you for joining me. Is it unusual to see all ladies representing this industry? Is this a fluke that we've managed to engineer? Or is this reflective of what's happening in showbiz today? Pooja?
Well, I think that this is a truly empowering sign of things to come in that sense. And I think that when I was all of 25 and I decided to become a producer, I was first of all told that I had no business kind of even attempting to venture into the big boys club. But that was like music to my ears, because I said that's exactly the reason I have to do it. But I think that it's fascinating now to be able to kind of in every area of filmmaking, to be able to see so many women who are kind of going out there and, you know, putting their thoughts, putting their ideas, putting their kind of voices and their hearts forward, and just compelling us to listen to our heartbeats in our sense. So it's a truly liberating time, yet the challenges remain in more ways than one.
Nandini, you've been making films for about 10 years now. Would you say that this reflects the kind of composition in the movie business today?
See, in the movie business, primarily the challenge you face when trying to do women-centric stories or anything is the question is box office pe ye chalega ke nahi? And it's seen that female actors don't have that draw. So everything kind of veers towards the male-centric storytelling. Everything is veered towards the male audience because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they are the primary audience that come. You know, they're 80% of the audience. It's really skewed, but that's how it is. So as a storyteller, to get your film up there and get a release, get a producer, get it out there, automatically your mind is kind of conditioned to writing stories for men. But here, it's not the star that is drawing the audience to the screen, it's the story. So now you have that freedom and you can write all kinds of stories, and you have these wonderful actors, female actors across ages. You know, it was unthinkable 10 years back. You know, now you're seeing Pooja leading Bombay Begums, and it's so wonderful. And Pooja's in her 40s. It's unthinkable that you would have a female lead within that age, but we have all kinds of stories across age groups to be told. And now I think OTT is giving you this wonderful platform to tell all these wonderful stories and use all these brilliant actors.
Let me get Ashwini in here. Nandini just talked, Ashwini, about the fact that movies are geared towards the male audience, whether we like it or not. And therefore, the box office success will determine what kind of stories are being told. Today, it seems that OTT is doing stories about women and for women because it has been unshackled from those box office commercial constraints. But Ashwini, you have cut your teeth in television, and television, general entertainment channels, GECs, were totally geared towards women. But that was very different from what we are seeing today. So can you explain what is happening?
So I'll tell you what, for television, what happens is you have to cater to the housewife. That's our primary target audience. So you have to tell stories, though television is dominated by women, both off-screen and on-screen as well. You have to tell stories that the housewife understands because of the target that she is. So you have to, let's say, for example, if I had to do Masaba for TV, I would have to say, hi, bichari, iske pati ne chhod diya isko, and now, how the world has tortured her, how she's not getting a house in Mumbai for a single woman. But if I had to do it in OTT, I would do Masaba the way I've done. Just start off with freedom, announce divorce on Instagram. So basically, if I have to choose the same subjects, they're being told differently. So I think for me, as somebody who did more than 20 years of daily soaps, I think coming to OTT and telling women's stories is a very liberating sort of a feeling, because I can tell them as is. I don't need to think, oh, will the housewife sitting in Lucknow will understand or not. It's a very different narrative, and that's refreshing for me, is what I feel.
Ashwini, is it also the fact that the pressure to be seen as a success is not coming in terms of exactly how many rupees and dollars were generated, but it is coming from buzz, and the parameters are different? What are the parameters that OTTs are using to say that, hey, this is a hit or not a hit?
So it's not like a bar for, how we have in TV or the box office for movies. How they see it as how many people have seen it in how long they've stuck to the content. So how long can you hold a person? Have they binge watched? Have they watched 5 minutes? Have they watched 15 minutes? So they measure it per minute. And it's, how many episodes you've seen at one go also makes a difference, because binge watching is important. And that's why if you see for television, you might release content one a day. On OTT, you release them all together, hoping that people will binge watch. So that's how they see it.
Right. Talking about binge watching, Pooja, I must confess, and with candor, that I watched Bombay Begums in one go. Okay, so that's how quickly the story moved for me. And so congratulations to you and the entire team that put the show together. Just a little while ago, Nandini says, can you imagine a woman in her 40s? Nandini, very specifically, Pooja says, I am 49. Where, there's a dialogue.
I was going to add late 40s.
Pooja, that dialogue, how radical is it to say it on screen, to be a protagonist saying it on screen, to be female of gender, and how radical is it off screen as well?
Well, I think Nandini nailed it when she said that it was possibly unheard of 10 years ago that, somebody like me who's been a teen sensation in that sense and was kind of written off as a has-been at the age of 25, because women do have not a very long shelf life in the entertainment world over. But today, the fact that I'm 49 and I get to lead a story like Bombay Begums with, of course, a brilliant set of co-actors, if not, because it's all of us are better than one of us. It's not any one person's victory in that sense. And I look at Bombay Begums as something that exemplifies, the fact that the tribe has really won. And it was unheard of, because as they say in entertainment, an entertainer has 4 seasons of fame, where first they say, oh, you have potential. Then they say you've arrived. Then they say you're over. And then they say, you're back. So I think thanks to Bombay Begums and thanks to the OTT platform, I am truly getting to revel in this 4th season of fame in that sense. And unheard of 10 years ago, unheard of in the commercial framework, because there's this belief that stories are only meant to be written for young people, this obsession with youth, hence the disdain for aging. You do not want to see women age both on and off screen. That's why you're trying to sell them a whole lot of products to kind of somewhere stall that.
Pooja, not just in your business, in every business.
In every business. I think the pressure ever since social media has happened to all of us, this kind of obsession with perfection has been a major bane of, I think, every woman's existence. And I think one of the draws for me for Bombay Begums was the fact that there were issues like menopause. She's 49, and even though she's kind of not coming to terms with the fact that the body is kind of somewhere defeating her in her head, there was a representation of a person who was that age, this kind of hogwash that we are kind of fed, that a woman over a certain age cannot have a libido, for example. And, you show Rani as somebody who's kind of rather active in that sense. So I think that it kind of broke a lot of glass ceilings, and it represented women across board. And I think that the victory of Bombay Begums is that it speaks to a collective, and which is why it's permeating beyond the so-called multiplex audience. I'm getting responses from people who normally would tune into a daily soap. What are they seeing about this? What are they getting about this? They're getting something that we kind of would be too fast to assume that, you know what, this is an audience that won't get it. No, they get it. The audience has moved on.
Audience has moved on, Nandini, says Pooja. What is the kind of audience that you're told by the streamers are watching these stories?
I think definitely the young people definitely are watching, but I think it is the 30 plus brigade also who is watching, because now it's convenient to watch it at your own time, your own place, and wherever. So there are a lot of people in the 30 to 60 segment, I would say, who are actually watching these shows. And the content is literally being absorbed like water on a hot dosa pan. It's just evaporating like this. Because constantly I'm having friends calling me up and asking, okay, I've finished this whole bunch of shows. What else is there? So we are consuming content at such an enormous rate. I think it's definitely not limited just to the younger segment. A whole bunch of other people, even from 30 plus to 60, are also watching OTT for sure.
Ashwini, you mentioned how if you were to do Masaba or for television, you would have approached it differently. Tell me, what is your take on the kind of audience that OTTs are getting in?
You know, I just want to narrate this incident that happened with Masaba 15 years ago. So when she was, I guess, figuring out what her career should be, she told her mom, Neena Ji, that she wants to be an actor at the age of 15. And Neena Ji, being an actor herself, told Masaba that, you know what, with your kind of looks, which are different, unconventional, you shouldn't look at a career in acting in India, because, you know, you'll probably get the vamp roles, you know, the woman who breaks somebody's marriage kind of a role. You should look at some other career. So that's why Masaba chose fashion. But today, thanks to Netflix and OTT platforms, Masaba has a show of her own where she is a protagonist with the same looks, and she has a name. The show is named after her, not once, but twice. So, I mean, just see how far we have come. Just 15 years ago, her own mom said, you know, not going to be.
It's really quite amazing what we are experiencing. Pooja, many of the stories that we are seeing today when they feature women tend to approach, look at the woman's identity through the lens of sex, desire, love. Is that a natural starting point? Or is it also, you know, at the end of the day, if you're going to explore these themes, you are going to show sex. If you show sex, it sells. So am I being cynical? Or do you think that that is a natural starting point when you want to talk about women taking control of their lives?
Well, considering I launched Sunny Leone in India and gave her an alternate career, possibly the first time that an adult entertainer has broken through to the mainstream, I was kind of told that that was the draw in that sense. But even with Jism Part 1, I think that what was radical about it, what was radical about Part 2 was Sunny's casting. But what was radical about Part 1 and why it still remains in people's consciousness is that you had a female character who actually questions the whole concept of love by the end of it and says that ye jism pyar karna nahi janta, and that drove people crazy. But how could a woman actually suggest that she is in control of her desire and she's in control of her body and she's not doing it because she has to kind of feed a child back home or deal with an ailing parent? So I think that people have always had problems with women being in charge of their destiny. Whether you are an actor, whether you're a filmmaker, or whether you're a character on screen, somehow our narrative is something that most people, men especially, wish to kind of contain and control. And women, unfortunately, to a large extent, perpetuate that. But I think that why strip a woman of desire? Why strip a woman of sensuality? Why do you have to be at 60? I think the magic of lipstick under your burqa, for example, was that you have a character of Ratna's who at that age is still kind of feeling a certain degree of desire and she still fantasizes. So I think that, we have this just kind of slotted each other in a certain manner. And I think that glass ceiling is being shattered. But having said that, I think that, if you have something that's only going to ride on skin show or sensuality in that sense, it's not going to kind of really make a mark. I think that eventually it's the story, it is the heartland of somebody that is going to kind of make you, like Ashwini said, it's important that you binge watch it, or how long do you stay? You might put something on. But if it's just a beautiful body and it's got no soul, it's not going to ensure that you don't flip the channel.
Nandini, as a woman filmmaker, do you feel comfortable in accepting that tag, or do you feel like many other female filmmakers that it is restrictive and it sort of pigeonholes you in the kind of work that you're given to do or the stories that you're thought to be able to make?
It's been quite an irritant for me, the term female filmmaker, because I don't think anybody's cut me any slack when they go to watch my movies. Nobody watches it because I'm a female filmmaker, or nobody, gives me a story to do, or a producer doesn't give me an opportunity because I'm a woman. I have to kind of earn my right to tell that story just as much as the other filmmaker. Maybe I have to work twice as hard sometimes. So I have an issue definitely with that tag, and whatever I do, make the stories I tell, the way I tell, they are automatically coming from a feminine point of view and from my set of experiences which are there. So I think that's built into the thing. I don't feel I need to specifically own up and take one more tag. I'm not resisting the tag, but I don't want to take ownership of it. I'm standing where I am. I'm a storyteller, and see me for what I am. That's all I'm trying to say.
Ashwini, the budgets are big, isn't it? Commercially, are streamers giving you a chance to tell stories in a far better manner that television would have?
To be honest, feel that while women's stories have been told, and they've been told, it's great that they've been told the way they have been told. But I feel that maybe streamers should now explore the other genres for women-based things. Right now, we're just sticking to stories, content, emotional stories. Maybe we could look at big action movies like the Wonder Woman and things like that for women-based, because every time you think of a woman's story, it's always being related to, like Pooja was saying, it's not a skin show, but like with so emotional stories and women issues like menopause and puberty and things like that. But if there are also other genres that I explored for women, I feel that'll be great, like with much, much higher budgets. Even somewhere I feel right now, the streamers also think of budgets when women's stories have been told, at least for now, because the way they've been told. But I feel the other genres for women can be explored in future, I feel. And I think they'll do fab.
Pooja, you talked about Bombay Begums and how it tells you the stories of so many different women, different backgrounds, different ages, different aspirations. The story of the youngest girl who's 13 and who plays your daughter in the show is now getting attention for being for being troublesome, right? That storyline has been objected to by the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, okay? They've sent Netflix a notice and that will take its own course. My question to you is, do you see challenges to storytelling coming from both extra-constitutional as well as constitutional authorities and groups?
Well, frankly, this whole thing of regulations and censorship is not new to me. My father began his career in the year 1976 with a film called Manzile Aur Bhi Hai, and that was banned. My film as a producer, Zakhm, a very respected lady from the film industry, a stalwart actually, who was heading the commission at that point, refused to give it a certificate. And then finally, it was the NDA government that accorded us a national award for best film on national integration. So I think eventually it is the intent of the filmmaker that is communicated. I don't think it's easy for anyone in a position, for example, whether you have the National Commission for Women or you have the National Commission for Children. It's a tough job that they do. They have a lot to deal with. And when they have people who write in with kind of complaints, they must act on those complaints because that is also their duty. But I think that they have responded to people who are looking at scenes and segments of that scene or that role in isolation. And I'm certain that when they see it as a whole and understand the intent of the writers, the creators, the platform, the actors, they will not view it as like that, because at the end of the day, I think that what Bombay Begums does, especially with Shai's character, is gives a very clear signal and message that you mess with drugs, you might end up dead. My opening line in the scene after that is me screeching at that boy's father saying, what the hell were drugs doing at a 14-year-old's party? And I'm certain that the people who are in a position to decide in the commission will view it as a whole. And perhaps when that, notice was sent out, they were responding to people who were just kind of taking screen grabs and choosing to see it as something else. It's like the classic situation of the rassi and the saap. I present to you a rope and you choose to see it as a snake.
Right.
So I think our moral compass is intact. I, for one, stand by that track. I stand by the scene. I would not, as a woman, as an actor, as somebody who's a filmmaker myself, be part of a body of work that is actually going to be glamorizing the usage of drugs for any age group. I mean, I'm somebody who's spoken openly about my battle with addiction. I'm somebody who speaks openly about the fact that I've been sober for 4.5 years because I feel that the stigma from all of it must go away. And honesty does not mean just going out and revealing people's truth. Honesty means somewhere being free from fear. The COVID pandemic has made people depressed. It's made people kind of lean on alcohol. It's made people lean on anything that could kind of be some sort of escape, which is why somewhere the OTT platforms have also boomed, because entertainment has sustained a lot of people. But I think that in these times, to kind of just brush things under the carpet and not look at life for what it is would be doing great disservice to our youth, would be doing great disservice to the storytellers, because I believe that while, intelligence was something that you considered as being learning and thinking, I think people who are representatives, who form these institutes, eventually it's people, need to kind of understand that these are not times to strangulate a filmmaker's voice. And I think what we need to kind of somewhere hone within us even more is the ability to unlearn and to rethink.
That has been so eloquently put, Pooja. I would have let you go on even longer if this was not a show meant primarily for TV. But yeah, because that was really eloquently put. I think it deserves an applause. If we had a live audience, you would have got applause. But Nandini, do you feel, given what we've seen recently in the case of Tandav, this current episode now, we don't know how that will get resolved. But when you see this happening, and then, in February, there were guidelines. You also hear the Supreme Court say that, those guidelines are not enough. They need more teeth. As a storyteller, how are you seeing all this?
As a storyteller, I feel this whole issue with censorship is you're constantly underestimating your audience. You're constantly underestimating their ability to decide what they want to watch. How can a group of 10 or 20 people actually decide content which hundreds of millions of people are going to watch? I mean, how are you going to cater to that variety of thoughts and, mindsets? How are these people kind of putting one kind of measurement and saying, this is it. This is what you will watch. This is what you will see. And this is how you will see. If sexual content, it has to be like this. If it's this, it has to be like this. So, and first of all, I think censorship has been a miserable failure as far as cinema is concerned. We talk about, films in which women are, shown vulgarly, cheaply. How many film songs do we have? How many item numbers do we have? Have we been able to make even a dent in what we're talking about? And video games have much more sexual content and violence than cinema has ever had. So, I mean, what really are we trying to do? So, as a filmmaker, I'm very concerned. And, I really feel it is just going to kind of streamline in a wrong way, depending on the agenda of the government of the day and the powers that be of the day, what kind of content should come out. And that's a very kind of a dangerous precedent for something like cinema or filmmaking in general.
Ashwini, what are you hearing across stakeholders today? Are you seeing a hesitation in wanting to do the kind of stories that you really want to do because of this fear of government, police, courts, and just people?
Yeah, so in fact, I had a show that I had okayed with a writer, and I haven't forwarded to any streamers as of now because I just want to wait and watch, because I feel this one could also be in trouble. Though it's got nothing to do with issues that have been pointed out now, currently. But I feel if I kind of take this forward to a streamer, I would be rejected. So yeah, there has been. I mean, forget the writers. I'm feeling, and I've taken all the risk in life there were in terms of content. I made, oh my God, I made Balika Vadhu, I've done all those. But somehow now I'm slightly more hesitant in giving content that has even, slight doubt in my head. So I'm sure everyone feels that. And that's sad, actually.
Pooja, there is a sense that the OTTs or streamers already have age classification, some of them very, very clear age classification, clear descriptors. There are technological safeguards. You have parental locks. You have all kinds of things to protect young people from content that is not age appropriate. Do you think more needs to be done? And how does one have a dialogue process in today's environment?
You cannot talk down to the youth of today. The internet has broken every ceiling possible. Your kids know far more than you ever knew and will ever know in 500 lifetime to come. You need to build bridges with the youth. You need to be able to talk to them from a place of truth and compassion, not by lecturing them. A child will watch what you do, not merely listen to what you say. And I think that personally, I would not be involved with any body of work that's going to be irresponsible and is going to advocate something as serious as kind of drug usage with especially a preteen. So I think the context has not been looked upon, because I don't think that the commission had the time to actually view the show before they sent out that letter. And I'm absolutely confident that the people there are going to understand the intent of the filmmaker and view it as that. And that's happened to me with a lot of work that I've done. This is not new. So regulations, no, they will scare you if you're trying to be provocative, if you're trying to be somebody who says that, I have the right to speak my mind and I'm going to go out there and shake things up. No. What are you trying to say? What is your intention? That is what gets communicated.
Nandini, let me get closing word. What are your thoughts about how the future will look like?
I think as far as OTT goes, it's a great time for a lot of actors, writers, technicians. It's now a platform for so much talent to come to the fore. And I think there's going to be this beautiful bridge between cinema and the OTT. My concern still rests with the kind of regulations that are coming up, because I just feel it may throttle the variety of stories that will come up. You don't want that hesitation to step in. I think let us treat viewers with more respect and let filmmakers, own up to some responsibility. I think let's all act like grown-ups rather than, these commissions acting like headmasters and everybody's in a class and we're telling you, dictating stuff. So as long as that finds a way out, I think we're in for an amazing time and for some wonderful stories to come to the fore.
Super. Ashwini, the Supreme Court said some of the stuff they've seen on OTT seems pornographic. There are people and there are shows where there has been gratuitous use of violence and desire and sex, which even movies and cinema has done over the years. Do you feel that there is a balance that can be done collectively, or is it finally up to the individual sensibility and filmmaker?
I feel like there can be a balance as much. I mean, whatever said and done, the society we live in and, the viewers that we have, there'll always be something that comes up. But like, if the rating is there, I think that should be followed. I mean, you have films with an adult certificate that ensures the children don't go, and then it's up to the viewers the audience that goes in with paid tickets, right? Similarly here, for television, I feel this could not have been done because it's like free to air, it's in your living room. But with OTT, I feel like it has more freedom for content, the way you want to use or see. So I feel there will be sort of a balance now because of these new issues that have come up. But I think it's going to be an amazing journey here henceforth.
All right.
Once we find this thing.
Okay, it's been an amazing journey so far. I hope it continues to be an amazing journey. I'm going to sign off and thank you. But Pooja, one 15-second closing comment. Since you've been in such good flow.
Well, I think that, I'm just reminded of Iran. And I think that they made the greatest films when they had the maximum restrictions on them. And America, which was supposed to be the land of the free, couldn't hold a candle. While they had the budgets, they didn't have the content. So I think that, restrictions and difficult times actually brings out the best in artists across board. I think that eventually, if you speak from the heart, it gets communicated to the heart.
Good words to end this show on. Thank you, Pooja, Nandini, Ashwini. Wish you a lot of good luck. And I really look forward to all the stories you all will continue to tell us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching. Join us again for another conversation on the Media Dialogues. And in the meanwhile, you know what to do. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18.